Good morning, scholars. We're going to be talking about global marketing and how to develop a global vision. This is chapter 5. So what is the importance of global marketing? There are certain rewards that take place. Having a global vision, first of all, you have to have a vision. Having a global vision means that you recognize and you react to the international marketing opportunities. Obviously, whatever type of product that you might have, there are lots of opportunities available for your products in other countries. You have to use an effective global marketing strategy, and you have to be aware of threats that occur from foreign competitors. Uh, Global marketing is important to the United States because it derives about 13% of the gross domestic product from world trade. 7% of the employment is supported by exports. The U.S. businesses export about $1.7 trillion in goods and services annually, and every state in the United States has realized some type of net employment gain directly um, attributed to foreign trade. Now, does that mean that this is perfect? Absolutely not, because there's a big fear of trade and globalization. Why is that? Despite having some positive effect with um, jobs created, there have also been millions of jobs lost. Americans are out of work because of the global economy. Things are being transferred overseas. Millions fear that they're going to lose their job. There's always a threat of outsourcing if workers don't accept pay cuts. And then there's the vulnerability to operations that move offshore. Um, Now, there have been some benefits. It expands economic freedom, it spurs competition, it raises productivity and living standards, it offers access to foreign capital, global export markets, and advanced technologies. It promotes higher labor and environmental standards, and it also acts as a check on government power. All right, what are multinational firms? Now, there are certain stages in global business development. Companies operate in one country and they sell to another country. They set up foreign subsidies to handle sales. They operate an entire line of business in another country. And then there's this thing called virtual um, opportunities. Are multinationals beneficial? Beneficial. Well, there are some pros. It accounts for 19% of private jobs. Private provide 25% of private wages. 74% of research and development spending is because of multinationals, and 48% of total exports are from multinationals. The cons: technology is capital intensive and does not increase employment. It supports governments that benefits the company, not necessarily the country and its people, and it may take away more wealth than it may generate. Um, all right, there are some external environment factors that face global markets. Number one is culture. Number two is natural resources. Obviously, these are critical from the standpoint of how we respond to the various cultures and also how we use the natural resources. Remember, um, a company, whether they're a multinational or in the United States, they need to be um, as eco-friendly as possible to not waste all these natural resources. Now, another thing is that you have to consider economic and technological development, the political structure of where the company is, and also the demographic makeup. So these are key factors. All right, what is culture? Culture is a common set of values shared by its citizens that determine what's socially acceptable. Um, Factors to keep in mind when dealing with different cultures: language and culture, idioms, customs and traditions, values and expectations of sales presentations. Again, uh, please keep aware of the of cultures and their norms. The economic development in developed country, sometimes it can be complicated, complex, sophisticated industries, and then less developed countries, obviously it is they deal with just basic industries. The global economy, if America sneezes, the rest of the world catches cold. And what does that mean? Is that means the United States basically has an impact on the global economy. All right, economic development. China and India are classic examples. They have two of the highest growth rates in the world. They have the world's two largest populations. They're among the highest levels of income disparity. And then there's this great linguistic and cultural diversity. Um, there are also some legal considerations that we need to take into effect when we're dealing with the global economy. Like for example, we have tariffs. Tariff is a tax levied on goods entering a country. You have a quota. That's the limit on the amount of the product entering the country. A boycott. That is the exclusion of products from a country. Um, Exchange control means foreign exchange must be sold to some type of control agency. Market grouping, that's generally just a common trade alliance between various countries. And then you have a trade agreement. That's to stimulate international trade. Now, the United States is currently working on some type of trade agreement with other. We had North American Free Trade Agreement. It hurt some businesses because the trade was done between Canada and Mexico. Excuse me. All right, there are certain political and legal considerations that have to take place. The Uruguay round made changes in world trading practices. Entertainment, pharmaceuticals, integrated circuits, and software are obviously critical. Financial, legal, and accounting services, agriculture, textiles, and apparel. And they created a new trade organization called the World Trade Organization. So these are all important. All right, the demographic makeup, considerations in your marketing. Number one, the population density. Number two, whether it's urban or rural. Why is that a factor? Because obviously, if it's rural, the concentration of people are not going to be as high as it usually is in an urban area. And then you have to consider the age. The key thing is exactly what exactly are you marketing? Natural resources. There are shortages in natural resources. Um, when that happens, they create international dependencies, shifts of wealth, inflation, recession. Export opportunities of resources are abundant, and then there's oftentimes a stimulus for military intervention. Um, uh, so obviously, we need to guard our natural resources and make sure. Um, why does a company want to go global? Number one, to earn additional profits. There's a certain amount of leverage and unique if you have a unique product or technological advantage. If you come up with something, I mean that gives you a certain amount of leverage in the marketplace. Um, Another reason is that you possess exclusive market information. Um, Four, because there's saturated domestic markets. Now stop and think about all the companies that are doing business in the United States. This market's flooded. Unless you come up with a really great product or some type of new innovation for something, you're sitting here spinning wheels. Number five, excess capacity, and number six, utilize the economic scale. Of course, there are certain ways that you can enter the global marketplace. Number one is export. Number two is licensing and franchising. Three, do contract manufacturing, hire it out or do it yourself. Joint venture, and then a direct investment. Um, Now, obviously, if you do a direct investment, that's going to create quite a lot of money because of um, what's going on in that country, and also there's a certain amount of risk because there's no guarantee that it's going to be profitable over there. The global marketing mix, these are basic elements. The first step in creating a marketing mix is developing a thorough understanding of the global target market. And of course, then again, research is conducted in vastly different environments. All right, you have obviously place. Your distribution, adequate distribution is necessary for success in the global market. Pricing, you have to consider transportation, insurance cost, taxes, and tariffs. It's totally different, guys, when you're dealing with a global economy versus something here in the United States as a domestic product. You have to try to determine what your customers are going to spend. You have to ensure that buyers are going to pay the full price. Now, if they're not, again, you're spinning wheels. You may need to simplify product to lower the price, and then don't just assume that low-income countries are willing to accept lower quality. Another issue is the exchange rates, the price of one's currency in terms of another country's currency. That can be a problem. All right, dumping. Dumping. What is dumping? Dumping is the sale of an exported product at a price lower than the charge for the same in the home market or the exporter. Now, it is against the law in some instances. Counter trade. It's a form of trade in which all or part of the payment for goods or services is in the forms of other goods and services. Now, in economics, we call that bartering. Okay. Be sure and read the chapter, answer your discussion, do your assignments on Cengage, and we'll get everything together. And as you can tell, I'm under the weather. I may not get chapter 6 done today, but I'll get it up tomorrow. All right. Have a great day.